Okay, so there's a secret war happening right now as we speak. It's not being fought with soldiers or tanks, but with spreadsheets, satellites, and complex supply chains. It's this high-stakes global conflict over one of the planet's most critical resources. And believe it or not, it affects pretty much everything you touch, everything you wear, and everything you use. We're talking about the world's forests.
To really get a grip on the scale here, you've got to follow the money. The global pulp and paper market, just by itself, is worth over $600 billion. That's not just big money, that's empire-building, market-moving kind of money. But honestly, paper is just the beginning.
You see, the real prize is something called cellulose. It's the basic building block of every plant on Earth, and it has created this invisible empire all around us. It's not just in that cardboard box on your doorstep. It's literally woven into your clothes. It's a key ingredient in hygiene products. It helps bind together medicines, and it's even used in construction.
So that's the big question, right? Who is really pulling the strings in this massive, invisible empire? Answering that question takes us on a journey from the boardrooms of Wall Street straight to the heart of the Amazon rainforest. And to find the answer, we have to totally change how we even think about forests in the first place.
To really wrap our heads around this conflict, we need a new perspective. For just a moment, forget about seeing forests as just beautiful natural ecosystems. In the 21st century, you have to see them as strategic assets. They're the new gold, the new oil. They're a priceless geopolitical resource that nations are scrambling to control.
And this idea, it's pretty simple, but it is everything. This isn't just about controlling today's market for paper products. Nope. This is about controlling the raw materials that are going to build tomorrow's economies. It's a long game, a play for future power.
And look, this isn't just some abstract theory. We're talking about major global institutions like the World Bank formally valuing forests as natural capital. That means they are officially on the balance sheet of a country's wealth, right up there with factories, roads, and bridges. And that simple shift in thinking, it completely changes the game.
Okay, so if this is a global chess match, who are the grand masters? Let's take a look at the key players, the timber titans who are shaping this secret war.
All right, first up on our list, Brazil. Think of them as the raw material superpower. They are a vital source for the world's pulp, but it's a superpower teetering on a critical tipping point, a major battleground in the global fight against deforestation.
You see, Brazil is in a really tough spot. On one hand, it's a global leader in pulp exports, a huge part of its economy. On the other hand, it's home to the Amazon rainforest, one of the most important carbon sinks on the entire planet. And as Brazil's own space agency, INPE, shows with its satellite data every single day, that forest is in a constant, desperate struggle against land clearing for things like cattle and soy. It is a high-wire act with massive global consequences.
Okay, so from the source of the raw materials, let's travel to the world's factory floor, China. Now, China may not have the biggest forests, but it has brilliantly positioned itself as the indispensable global hub for turning that raw wood fiber into pretty much every finished product you can imagine.
And here's what's so fascinating about China's strategy. Their power doesn't come from owning the forests. It comes from controlling the entire global assembly line that runs through them. As the world's #1 importer of timber and pulp, China's demand basically sets the price and the pace for logging operations everywhere from Southeast Asia to South America.
Then you've got the old guard, the established powers, who play the game a little differently. Canada and the European Union. They act as the regulators, and they're using what they have, massive production and powerful policies, as their weapons of choice.
And these two are a study in contrasts, right? Two totally different strategies. On one side, you have Canada, which leverages its role as a production powerhouse. It manages these enormous boreal forests, although it's facing huge new challenges from wildfires. Then, on the other side, you've got the EU, which flexes its muscle as a regulatory superpower. It uses its giant consumer market as a weapon, creating tough new laws that dictate how everyone else has to play the game.
So, where are these battles actually being fought? Well, you might be surprised. The battlegrounds in this secret war aren't really the forests themselves. No, they're invisible. They're the arenas of high finance, complex regulations, and multi-billion-dollar investments.
The first battleground, the commodity markets. And wow, just look at this roller coaster. These huge spikes and crashes in lumber prices aren't just numbers on a screen. They represent fortunes being won and lost, and they have a direct impact on how many trees get cut down and where.
Next, we have the regulatory battlefield.
And this is where a piece of paper, a law, can be more powerful than a bulldozer. Take the EU's new deforestation regulation. It's a game changer. It basically says if you want to sell your products in Europe, one of the richest markets on Earth, you have to prove without a doubt that they didn't come from deforested land. Period.
And finally, there's the third, and maybe most important battleground, the fight for capital, for money. In this arena, a company's ESG score can literally be worth more than the physical assets they own. A high score acts like a magnet for billions in investment dollars. A low score? It can starve a company of the cash it needs to survive.
So, all of this, the suppliers, the processors, the regulators, these invisible battlegrounds, it all leads to one final huge question. What's the real prize here? What is the actual endgame for these timber titans?
Well, the answer is way bigger than you're probably thinking. This isn't about cardboard boxes or 2x4s. This is about controlling the foundation for the next economic era, the bioeconomy, a world where the things we currently make from oil and fossil fuels are grown from trees instead.
And this is what that new value chain looks like. It's actually pretty simple when you break it down. You start with sustainable wood fiber. Then, you use advanced biorefineries to break it down. And finally, you reassemble it into the high-tech materials of the future.
And just to be clear, this isn't some far-off sci-fi future. This stuff is happening right now. We're talking about nanocellulose, which can make cars and airplanes lighter and stronger. We're talking about bioplastics made from wood sugars that can replace the plastics we get from oil, advanced textiles that are way more sustainable than cotton, even clean energy from wood pellets.
So when you boil it all down, it comes back to this one powerful idea. Controlling the supply of wood fiber, of cellulose, isn't just about a single commodity anymore. It's about controlling the strategic choke point for the entire next generation of industry and technology.
So this secret war for the world's forests, it's not about the past. It's a full-on race for the future. And as these global giants fight for control over this new gold, the biggest question still remains unanswered. Who is going to get to write the rules for our post-petroleum world? The answer to that? Well, it's going to define the rest of this century.